Good afternoon and welcome to the Humidor Report. Justin here from Beaumont's very own Cigar Club. Now, last week we were telling you what we wanted to talk about last week and incidentally did not, and told you we would be talking about it this week. Well, we're keeping that promise. And even though we do have the 4th of July coming up, I'm going to start by wishing everybody a happy early 4th of July and give you a reminder that we are going to be closed here on the 4th. So do make sure you come in prior to the 4th to get all the sticks you need to get through and have a very smoky Independence Day. So do come see us, as we will be closed on July 4th. But what we are going to talk about this week is something old that there is some new news about. Now, the brand that we're discussing today is Room 101. If you are not familiar with Room 101 by this point, I'm going to give you a little bit of a background. Now, the brand launched with Camacho originally. It's owned by a cat named Matt Booth. Matt, there's no such thing as a former Marine, but I guess you would say a no longer active Marine. When he finished his tours of duty over in the East, in Eastern Asia, he was actually working in Los Angeles at, I believe it was like one of those big fame clubs. I think it was Whiskey A Go-Go, and he noticed all the jewelry that everyone was wearing to the rock shows. He teamed up with a local jeweler, and the Room 101 brand was born, specifically focused on high-end silver jewelry. And I do say high-end, not just to say that it was expensive, but he does have some very high-profile customers. Slash from Guns N' Roses is one that comes to mind. Guy Fieri is another. So the brand originally began as that jewelry line, and he moved into cigars. I'm trying to remember the date. It's hard for me to remember right now. Sometime prior to 2008, because I believe that it was 2008 that Camacho, owned then by Christian and Julio Eiroa, was sold to Davidoff. But Room 101 as a cigar brand started being made by Camacho, and once that sale happened to Davidoff, the Room 101 brand moved to Davidoff. So the sale of Camacho, that happened in 2008, and then Room 101 announced their departure from Davidoff in January of 2017. At that point, it was unclear as to whether or not there was going to be any more Room 101 stuff, but that self-same year, 2017, within a matter of 6 months of Matt Booth announcing that he was leaving the cigar business, is where we started seeing projects, I think, that became the Tea and Farce, other Room 101 blends that are still being made these days. It was collaborations with A.J. Fernandez and Robert Caldwell, but with some 6 to 8 months after announcing his departure from the cigar business, it ended up just being a departure from Davidoff, and Matt started to move his own way. Now, since then, the Room 101 production has moved around quite a bit, but there has now been an acquisition. That was one thing that surprised me, but Room 101 has been acquired by Scandinavian Tobacco Group, otherwise known as STG, or Scandac is a name that'll be kicked around quite a bit. Scandac used to be a part of Swedish Match, which is one of the largest European tobacco manufacturers out there, largest snus manufacturer in the game. They have actually even just been sold themselves in the last week or two to Philip Morris International, so that's going to be its own neat little ball of hornets to see how that falls and lies with PMI's acquisition of Swedish Match. But STG separated off from Swedish Match a number of years ago, and that's where the General cigar portfolio ended up. Even though General Cigars, known for such brands as Macanudo, Cohiba, Punch, Partagas, Hoya de Monterey, and many other brands. General Cigar does now fall under STG, and that was where Room 101 is going. Now, even General has kind of switched off or portioned off a new company within STG that you now have General and you have Forged. Forged Cigar is a new company that has been operating since, I believe, early to mid-2001. Some of those vintage Cuban brands made their way and moved over into the Forged portfolio, and I'm not exactly sure where Room 101 is going to fall. I don't believe that's been announced yet. I could see it fitting into that Forged portfolio, but so far all the references I've heard sound like it's going to be in General's portfolio. Either way, both Forged and General are owned by Scandinavian Tobacco Group, as is Room 101. Now, we haven't been carrying the Room 101 product over here, as Matt has kind of just been in the ether doing collaborations and creations and having a couple of different factories produce his stuff. But we do have something here that I've been trying to figure out what we were going to do with it, how we were going to break it out. And with the announcement coming last week that Room 101 is now being acquired, I thought it's an ample time to break out this box of Big Payback. Now, Big Payback, this dates back to 2014 is when this line was released. Was supposed to be very large ring gauge cigars at a very low price to pay back all the customers who've supported the Room 101 brand since its inception. Now, there's another story out there that not only was it to pay back the loyal fans, but it was to pay back another manufacturer for some things that have happened, but that's going to be a story for another Humidor Report, maybe at some point. But the brand was created in 2014, produced by Davidoff. So this product was not produced until after Room 101 was acquired by Davidoff and had left Camacho Cigars at that point. They released a Connecticut version in 2016, and they released a Maduro version that they called the Maduro in 2019. Now, with the separation of Room 101 from Davidoff in 2017, the only thing that was made after the departure from Davidoff was that Big Payback Maduro, which was a different blend than what we have here. This is the original Big Payback. This was the one launched in 2014. As far as to how old this box is specifically, I do not know, but production would have ceased on this product by Davidoff by at least early 2017. So this box is a number of years old, and as you can see, it is a sealed box. We're cracking this thing open right now on camera for everybody to see. That is the Big Payback. Specifically, the Hueso is the name of this one. This is the 60x6 version of the Big Payback series. And we'll show you how this guy looks once you open it up. Tissue wrapped. And there they are, 6x60s, and there are a bunch of those jokers in there. Big, big, nice presentation right there on these guys. And we'll set these down here for everybody to kind of take a look at. So the Big Payback Maduro that came out in 2019 was different than this in that this is an all-Nicaraguan blend. It was produced in Honduras, I believe, but it was an all-Nicaraguan blend. The Maduro version, Matt actually got a new company to do this redux that became the Big Payback Maduro. Oddly enough, it was the Honduran operations of STG, a factory known as HATSA. So Matt's relationship with STG goes back at least a few years. They were the factory that produced the Big Payback Maduro, but that was a different blend than what you have here. Again, I don't know how old these guys exactly are. The absolute latest they could have been made more than likely was mid to late 2016. So we are looking at a good 6 years of box age on these. This particular variation of the blend, I do believe, has been recreated somewhere. But they're not going to be the OGs, the originals, the old conspiracy, Room 101 conspiracy stuff. This is going back to there. So we have this one box that we have sat on for a very long time and figure out what to do with. I want to give congratulations to Matt Booth. I'm personally a big fan of Matt's stuff, and as far as anybody that I've met and spent time with in the cigar biz, absolutely one of the nicest, coolest, most down-to-earth cats in the world, but also has great creative ideas, is not afraid to be a little different, to be carve his own path, if you will. But I do want to give him some congratulations. That's a big move for him to get acquired by a company as big as STG and General Cigar. So we do wish him well, and very curious to see what develops with this new collaboration. Now, Matt's not out of the game, altogether on this. He did sell the brand, but he is going on staff there with STG as, I believe, the creative director is the title that I've read. Whether that title applies just to the Room 101 product or if that's going to spill over into other products, both in the General or the Forge portfolios, I'm not sure yet. But I do have a good feeling that whatever Matt puts his hands on from a creative standpoint is going to be something worth checking out. And if you smoked any of the Room 101 products over the years, it is certainly something worth smoking. So as of this afternoon, when this video goes out, we will have this one box available for sale stick by stick. You'll find it right here on the table in the Beaumont Cigar Club SETX. You'll find it here in our humidor until they are gone. So big congrats to Matt Booth on the big sale. Congrats to STG for picking up a really neat and creative brand that I do see good things happening for both of those companies in the days to come with this new acquisition. So that's going to wrap up this edition of the Humidor Report. Again, happy 4th of July to everybody. Hope you have a safe and smoky holiday. And do remember that we will be closed on on the 4th, so come get your holiday smokes before the 4th so you can set up your own fireworks for our Independence Day coming up here in just a few days. We'll be back here with you again with another episode of The Humidor next Wednesday at 3 p.m. So until then, I'm Justin, and we'll see you at the club.